Okay, it looks like we are live.
Yes.
Book, what's up? What is up? Let's see here.
Hey.
Okay, guys, listen, we are live. Tonight, we are ready for this conversation. We are jumping on live tonight so that we can have a conversation about much issue in our community. So tonight,
Yes.
we come to talk about that issue. I have a very special guest that is with me tonight, and she is going to be speaking on the issue of domestic violence with me.
Mhm.
And we're just super excited to be here tonight. Listen, we know that this is a very sensitive topic
Yes.
for a lot of people. And because of that, we want to make sure that we're sensitive to everyone that is on this live stream tonight. And so, as you're joining us, when you come in, just let us know where you're joining us from. You can type in wherever you're joining us from. If you catch this on the replay, we want to make sure that you listen to it because it's going to help open up some dialogue, bring some understanding and some clarity around the issue of domestic violence. And so I'm super excited. We're going to get started tonight. As you come in, again, I want you to type in where you're joining us from. Give us a minute so that we can make sure that we're streaming this on all of our platforms. Just one moment.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Listen, tonight's conversation is about domestic violence. We came tonight to just talk about the issue of domestic violence. And we are going to open up this conversation because it's a very much needed conversation in our community. And it's a very important time for us to talk about this issue, um, the issue of domestic violence. And so we're going to just get started. Tonight is not just about discussing domestic violence,
Mhm.
but it's about breaking silence, restoring voices and value, creating safe spaces, and reminding people that healing is possible. Too many people suffer in silence. And because people think that nobody cares, or because people are ashamed of the issue of domestic violence, too many people suffer in silence. So tonight we come and we want to break the stigma around the issue of domestic violence. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight as we engage in this conversation. We want you to be a part. We want you to type in your responses. We want you to know that this is a safe space that we are creating for survivors, for supporters of survivors, for people who just want to gain knowledge and understanding on the issue of domestic violence. We want your statements, your comments, we want your questions. They are welcome here in this space tonight. My name is Tiffany Myers. I am the founder of the Host Foundation. And the Host Foundation is a nonprofit, and we help women, we partner with women that are coming out of domestic violence relationships, helping them to walk through the healing process, the whole healing process, because healing is a journey. And most often we renege from the journey of healing because of how painful, challenging, and difficult it is at times. And so we help them walk through that healing journey so that they can break the cycles off of their legacy, making sure that healing begins in their legacy so it's not passed down to the next generation. And this is what we do at the Host Foundation. We do it every day. We're partnering with women, we're coaching them, we're encouraging them, we're empowering them on an everyday basis to walk out that healing process so that they can become whole and have wholeness in their relationships. And so I'm here tonight. I'm excited because I am with someone that is very special, and she is really she knows about domestic violence. She has helped many women walk through the healing journey and partnered with them as well. And she's a licensed mental health counselor, and this is something that she does on a daily basis. So as you come in tonight, join us for this conversation. And I'm going to give her a chance to introduce herself in a moment. But I just want you to understand that the Healing Foundation, HOLES Foundation, stands for Healing Our Legacy and Embracing Our Strength, helping women to break the legacy of trauma and walk in the healing and wholeness that we were designed and created to walk in. And so that's a little bit about me. I'm going to open up the floor so that my guest can introduce herself, tell a little bit about what she does, and then we will get started with this conversation for tonight. And so, Denise, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Denise Moore. As Ms. Tiffany stated, I'm a licensed mental health counselor and I'm also a qualified supervisor here in the great state of Florida. I have a private practice named Grow, Empower, Transform Therapy, or Get Therapy for short. And the tagline is heal, empower, and release because we want you to heal, we want you to be empowered, and we want you to release what has brought you here so that you can move forward with your healing and with your greatness. And as Ms. Tiffany said, I do work with individuals who are healing from domestic violence relationships. They're no longer in that relationship. And so they are right now in that healing process, a stage that I also call relationship recovery. And so this is what I do in my practice and within the community as well. And like you said, Ms. Tiffany, we are breaking the cycles because that's the goal.
Thank you so much, Ms. Moore. Thank you so much for that introduction. Yes, it's very important that we understand the way that we come to solve I'm sorry, to be a solution, not to just focus on the issue, but to be a solution for the issue of domestic violence. And yes, we're going to talk about the issue, but we're also going to talk about solutions really quick tonight to help rectify the issue in our community, because domestic violence doesn't just stay centered with the individual. It affects all facets of our society. So tonight, we're going to be breaking the stigma. And how do we break the stigma? By breaking the silence. And that's what this conversation is all about tonight, is breaking the silence. So to start our conversation off tonight, we're going to start with, first of all, what is the definition of domestic violence? I want you to think about that when we talk about domestic violence. We need to know what the definition of domestic violence is, because if we don't know what the issue or what the definition is, then how do we know how to be on the lookout? How do we know what to heal from? How do we know what we're dealing with? So I'm just going to go ahead and post up what the definition of domestic violence is. Domestic violence is a pattern of abusive behaviors in any relationship used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over another intimate partner. It's a pattern of abusive behaviors. Now, this is the Department of Justice definition of domestic violence. It's a pattern of behaviors in any relationship used by one partner to gain control or maintain control over another individual. It's all about power and control. And when we talk about healthy relationships, power and control are not the dynamics of a healthy relationship. So I wanted to post a definition so that we can talk for a moment about the definition of domestic violence. And so, Denise, what do you think about this definition of domestic violence?
When I see that one, I have to include, this for me, this is mainly intimate partner violence because it's talking about one partner over another. However, domestic violence also encompasses everyone that lives in a house. Parents against children, cousins against siblings, whoever is within that household, that's part of domestic violence as well. And used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over another, absolutely true. Absolutely true. I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly.
Mhm. Thank you so much for that definition. So when we think about domestic violence, we really have to be on the lookout for domestic violence in all of our relationships. It's not just our intimate partner relationships, but it's also in all of our relationships. So you can have a domestic violence relationship with your mother, with your father, with your cousin, with your aunt, with your
Yes.
brother, siblings. And a lot of times domestic violence is cultural. It's something, it's normal. It's what we do in our family. This is how we talk to one another. This is how we treat one another. This is
Right.
how we behave with one another. So we have to remember that domestic violence is not just centered around intimate partner violence. And so we wanted to talk about the definition of domestic violence as we engage in this conversation tonight. And when you think about your relationships, I want you to always remember this definition so that when you come across behaviors that are abusive, you're able to recognize these behaviors and then you're able to change the narrative because now you understand what domestic violence is and what it looks like. Okay. Now, when people hear domestic violence, they often think about physical abuse, but
Right.
domestic violence can also be emotional, mental, financial, verbal, spiritual, psychological. So there are many facets and forms of domestic violence. What do you think about those forms of domestic violence, Denise?
Yes, a lot of us do, like you said earlier, a lot of us think about the physical part of domestic violence.
Mhm.
Honestly, that is, in like 99% of cases, I would say that is the last thing that happens within that relationship. However, the emotional part happens, the financial part happens, the psychological part happens, the sexual part happens. All of these other things happens first before it can get to that physical part of it. But to just be aware that there's so many facets to domestic violence, please don't only look for the physical part of it, look for everything else as well. And you earlier you mentioned healthy relationships. When we speak about healthy relationships, know what they are, know the characteristics of a healthy relationship, and make sure you're speaking to the young people about that. Because nothing changes if nothing changes. If we're not having these conversations, they won't know. If I come from a family where domestic violence is a healthy relationship, that's how I'm going to know and look for. Because if that's not happening, then for me it's not healthy. But in order for me to know something different, if I want to break that cycle within my family or with my children, I have to stop and I have to teach. I have to be educated and I have to teach. So when you become educated, excuse me, please teach. Please teach.
That's awesome. I really I love that because, as you said, if you've grown up in a family where this is normal, um, then it's going to be something that you take in all of your relationships. So you won't be able to notice the signs in your intimate partner relationships or any of your relationships because for you, it's normal. And so that's why we're having this conversation tonight so that we can engage in just creating healthy cycles and in our communities, healthy cycles in our homes, in our families. And so these will become ripple effects really in our nation. And so all it does is take one, teach one to begin to start that channel of change in your family, in your community, in your own life, to begin to see something different. We have to do something different. And we have to have these conversations that are heavy. No one likes to talk about the issue of domestic violence. It's that family secret.
Absolutely.
It's the thing that we sweep under the rug, especially in the Black community. This is not something, it's what goes on in my house, always stays in my house. This is the rule that we live under, the silent code that if I say something, I am betraying the family. The legacy, I am betraying, the hierarchies in the family, and so we have to begin to break that, and we do that by having conversations like we're having tonight. And I'm so excited that we're having this conversation because I love to talk about the issue of domestic violence and how it touch all parts of our community and how so many people are affected by it, whether they say it or not. I can always scan the room, and it's not about what they say, it's about what's not being said. That I can, because I was one, I am a survivor. I know what it's like to carry the secret and the shame of domestic violence and being in these type of relationships.
Absolutely. In the chat, I see shame, and it is absolutely a shameful topic to speak about. It's a shameful act to be engaged in, especially when you don't know. And so I know we spoke about earlier that it's really silent and it's quiet. It's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month is also recognized and observed in October, which is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so there's two different things. Both are equally important. However, we just see more about Breast Cancer Awareness Month than we do with Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And with domestic violence, so many victims are blamed for being in that type of situation when you well, a lot of times you don't know that you're in that situation until you're in it. And when you're in it, you're way too far in and you're trying to figure out how to get out.
Right.
Like how do you get out?
How did I even get here? Right?
Exactly.
How did
Exactly.
how did I even get in this particular situation? For a lot of women, by the time they come into the realization that they are in an abusive relationship, they're most often always at the place where they are either now in love with this person, or they're in a place where they are literally up the mountain and they don't know how to come down. They don't know how to break free. They don't know how to come out of these type of relationships, because now they have binded or agreed or came into a relationship with someone, and they're in love with this person, and now they realize that this relationship is not going to work because it is a violent relationship or an abusive relationship, or it's a relationship that's very controlling and it's taking away your power, and they don't know what to do by the time they find out. And so I often work with women in the sessions that we have, is reclaiming their voice, their power, and their identity, because these are the things that are really stolen in these type of relationships. The identity of that person and their power is stripped away, and oftentimes it's not all at once. It's little bit by little bit by little
Mhm.
bit, and the most uh, violent relationships are not just the physical ones, but they're the ones that literally beat you mentally down,
Mhm.
where you don't even know how to leave because you're so traumatized and you're so beaten down
Absolutely.
that you don't even know how to recover.
Absolutely. And it is at that point where many of the victims, where we'll say the perpetrator, okay, so the perpetrator will burn those bridges, will isolate the victim from family, friends, work, church, or any type of community or outside support that could look in and actually see what's happening. Because when you're not in the situation, you can see it more clearly than when you are within that situation. So
Right,
when they're able to isolate you from all of that and get you alone and continue to beat you down, when you're ready to leave, there's nobody around.
right,
There's nobody around. And so like you can't call family because you chose that. You
right,
can't call friends because what friends? Where are you gonna run to? Most of the times they already know where to go. So and they have people that work at those places. So what are you really gonna you have no money.
right,
Yeah,
right.
you have nowhere to go. You have nowhere to go. And here comes the guilt and the shame. I put myself in this situation. How did I get here? I can't even get out. So I must stay. Oh, and we have children together.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And a lot of times, people um, don't recognize the faces, I say, of domestic violence.
Hmm.
Like, how does domestic violence look? They think that it has a black eye. They think that it has bruises all over. So when the woman walks in the room, I'm going to notice her. But what about the woman that's not showing up to work every day? What about the woman next door that's putting her grocery in the car, and her kid is in the buggy? What about the woman that's running at the gym? They don't understand the faces of domestic violence are all of our faces.
Absolutely.
And this is why unity is important. This is why these conversations are important, because they're going to open up the floor for so many women to understand you're not alone. And you're not alone in this journey. No matter what you have experienced, you're not alone. And your voice is powerful. And it's going to be the breaking point to your, not only your survival, but to your healing. It's going to be the breaking point to you coming out of these type of relationships, and you reclaiming your power.
Absolutely. The one thing that is lost first is your voice. because you're made to believe that your voice doesn't matter and your voice is not important.
Mhm.
So oftentimes when I'm working with individuals and we're having a conversation and I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, they lost their voice. And in their mind, they believe whatever they have to say is not important because that's what they were told, or they were always silenced mentally, physically, emotionally. So when you have someone that cannot just express themselves or don't have any boundaries for themselves, that is also a sign of someone that is in a healthy relationship. And so trying to gain your voice back is so difficult because the mental pressure, the mental stress, the mental beat down is so great that that's the last thing that heals. The sticks and stones might break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Lies. Names hurt.
Right,
Names
right,
hurt. Names
right,
hurt. Because as we get older, we talk about these names that we were called when we were younger, so we
right,
can break through some certain some of those things. So
right.
yeah.
Um, let's go to. I have a question. Why do so many
Okay.
stay in abusive relationships?
And because they're afraid to leave, leave and go where? And do what? You have no more support system because you allowed the other person to manipulate you so much that you don't need them. All you needed was this perpetrator. You may not have any finances to leave because it takes finances to leave.
Right,
There is no place to go where you can't be found.
right,
They have control over every single thing, every single movement that you have, text messages, phone calls, bank accounts, etc. They have all of that. So where are you going to go and how are you going to get there? And it's a possibility that you may die because we see that a lot. We've been seeing that a lot within the past so many weeks and so many months. We know this happens already. The most dangerous time for the victim to get out of the abusive relationship is when they're leaving. Sometimes they well, I'm leaving you, or they try to move like really slow and subtle, and they get caught, or it can be so much time later and in between, the perpetrator will find you and will end your life.
exactly.
It's not easy.
Exactly, exactly. And so, all of these things are things to take into consideration. If you're watching this live tonight and you are a woman that's in a abusive relationship, we do have National Domestic Violence Hotline running across the ticker on the bottom of this live. But we also have a support group for women that are recovering, that are trying to come out of these type of relationships. So you don't have to be all the way out of the relationship to join our support group. We meet on Thursday, the second and fourth Thursday of the month, and we're meeting on the 14th and the 28th of this month. And we would love for you to join us. We have these sessions where they're safe and they're confidential because oftentimes victims deal with anxiety. They
Hmm.
can't find a safe space, not even within their own selves, their own bodies. This is why the physical body begins to break down when women are in a long term abusive relationship. I experienced that. Um,
Hmm.
with my physical body beginning to turn on me because the fact that I had turned on myself for all those years. And so we want you to be a part of this group. We want you to join us. Again, it's the second and fourth Thursday of every month. And we are meeting on the 14th, which is this Thursday at 7 p.m. We want you to join us and be a part of these intimate conversations. And we empower you, we encourage you, and we build you back up to the woman that God always created you to be. And so you have a support within community. Can we talk about community for one moment? Why is community so important for women that are in these type of relationships?
Oh yeah, we heal in community. We heal in community. Seriously, there's it's power within a group. When someone has been through what you have been through, you receive encouragement, you receive love, you receive people will come and uplift you. People will come and just let you know what's going on. People will come and will have will give you that hope and will speak life into you, and people can point out, that's not all the way true. Maybe when you're ready, you'll share everything that's happening. But to let you know, this is a safe space. We really do heal in community. It's amazing. A
Right.
lot of times when we try to heal by ourselves, it's isolation. And no, no one can see that. You can't practice that, and no one can, encourage you and help you prune and grow. And that's the whole point of healing. It's a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong journey, y'all.
Thank you so much for that, because I think one of the things that I became used to, I as a survivor, was the isolation. I lived in my own head and my own thoughts for over 30 years. I lived in my own head and my own thoughts
Mm-hmm.
for so long that the only trusted voice I knew was the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it's what kept me in that place of being stagnant for so long, because the trauma was louder than God's voice. It was louder than, it matched the voice of the abuser. So I became used to the trauma and the loud voice of the trauma. And that's what allowed me to stay in the relationship, and to make me think that I wasn't worthy, number one, of anything better. And number two, or even coming out of this type of relationship, the thoughts of the trauma was to pray more, is
Mm-hmm.
what I was told. Fast more is
Mm-hmm.
what I was told.
I just want to make sure I hear you correctly. You asked for help,
Yes,
and then that's what you were told.
I was told
I was
that
just making
I needed
sure.
to pray more. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
when I did open up just a little bit, because I would
Mm-hmm.
never dare allow anyone into this trauma. This was mine to keep. This secret was a secret that was protected, it was kept, and I nurtured it because it was my normal. I came from abuse. It was something that we witnessed growing up. And because
Mm-hmm.
of that, for me, it was normal. And so I nurtured it, I carried it. And it was something that, again, like I said, the trauma became louder than any other voice that could help me. Because when I did try to come out or tell someone, you were told, as I said, to pray more. So I would go back as a turtle, back into that shell, and I
Mm-hmm.
would pray more. I would fast more. I would just try to be a better person, is what it was all about. And so, I know now that that was wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't at the time. And so for me, it was that place of isolation was my best friend.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So a lot of times, because I'm looking at the comments and looking at some questions here. So a lot of times, um, you don't know that you're in that situation. For your example, you said that was cultural, like your family did that.
Right.
So if you went and asked for help, you went and asked, well, let me ask this question because something here doesn't feel right.
Hmm.
Oh, this is what you do about that. This is how you work that out, and you're looking at the elders and speaking to them because again, you're not being taught that this is not the way. You're being taught that this is the way, and that's the way you go. And so now you're trying to go against the grain. You're trying to heal and then break that cycle, and you're not receiving the support that you need until you begin to ask other people for help. So a lot of times, the women in these, or anyone in these situations, they have no idea. They weren't taught the healthy relationships, boundaries, etc. And so here you are trying to get out, trying to do something different. I've heard stories about what happens in your marriage stays in your marriage. Don't say anything, or they'll try to use the one Bible story where that happened and they don't really have the knowledge or understanding. So we just bless their heart and move forward. And we have to break that down and get a better understanding. And so now that we have left these relationships, we're no longer there. We have so much knowledge now. We know what it looks like, what it sounds like, the resources that we can give, the information that we can go ahead and share. Like, oh, I've been where you are, and I know what that feels like. And there's life on the other side. Like there's so much life on the other side, and yes, we can work through it and get through it. We absolutely can. But one, we have to know that this is the relationship that we're in, because it starts off like really just so subtle, and
Right.
before you know it, when you're there, it's like, why didn't I see this before? Because you didn't know to look for it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
And again, that's why we're having this dialogue. That's why we're
Hmm.
having this conversation tonight.
Hmm.
A conversation about domestic violence and healing. And someone said that my voice sounds muffled. Let me know if you can hear me
Yeah,
clearly now. I
we
think someone
can.
said that my voice sounds muffled. Let me
Yeah,
know if you can hear me clearly now, or if I still sound muffled.
uh, you can hear a little bit clear and then a little muffled.
Okay. So let me get closer to the mic. What about now? I want to
Yep.
make sure they can hear me clearly.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I didn't want to be too close up because of how we are. Let's see if we can change this. What about now? I didn't want to be too close. Okay, let's see. Hopefully, they can hear me better now. If you can't hear me, just please let us know. Type it in the comments, and I'll try to adjust my mic um, so we won't have any audio
Mhm.
issues. But I want to make sure that you get all of the information that we are sharing tonight. Again, across the bottom line, there is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. If you need emergency assistance, that hotline is there for you. If you need emotional help and support, make sure you reach out to the Host Foundation. Our email, our information is attached to the ticker. And just remember, you're not alone in your journey to heal from domestic violence, because it is all about recovery and healing, reclaiming your voice, your power, and your confidence. Someone said, what about men who are abused?
Hmm.
You can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline as well. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is for everyone. I speak as a survivor because I am a woman, and 85% of victims of domestic violence are women. And so you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline if you are a man and you're being abused. This number is also for you, because we all deserve a safe space and a safe home and an environment where we can grow and heal and be protected.
Absolutely. And a lot of times I work with men also who are in this situation or getting out of the situation. They don't know that's the situation they're in either. So when they come to see me, it'll say, "Oh, my partner says I'm a narcissist." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, well, tell me about that. Give me some examples of what they said, or what's happening, because you can't just no one can just say you're a narcissist. There's different testing and levels that you have to go through just to see if that's what you are." And so when they began to give me the examples, I recognize it as, oh, okay, I understand. Well, let me read textbook like what it is, and then they'll say, well, hey, that sounds like the person I'm with. Really? Because it is. And so then we get to work on, this is the type of relationship that you're in,
Right.
and there are ways for you to get out. And it takes time for them to once one realize, I didn't even know I was here. Like, how did I? And they said, how did I get here, Mr. Neat? We talk about how they got there. We
Correct.
talk about how you can get out, and the time it takes to get out. Because and a lot of times for men, it's embarrassing because you're not supposed to be in that situation. Men are strong. Um, how did they get in? Someone big you all of these things, and it's like, you know, don't do that, because that's what keeps people silent and not going to ask for help.
Exactly.
Not going to ask for help. And we
Exactly.
want everybody to get the help because it affects every single body.
Right.
A lot of times when you were in an abusive relationship, in your next relationship, you can become the abuser and the aggressor. You can become the abuser and the aggressor. So yes, men need help too. Thank you for asking that question. Men need help too. They need safety as well, and protection.
We appreciate your questions, your comments. Keep them coming as we are on this conversation tonight. Again, this is a conversation, this is a dialogue. So we want you to engage, we want you to be a part, and we want you to just give us your thoughts on the issue of domestic violence, and how do we feel as a community? How do we move forward? How do we address this giant, this national health crisis in our nation today? Domestic violence is a public health crisis, and so we want to make sure that we are engaging in healthy conversations and dialogues that arise solutions to the issue, and not create more rhetoric, more heartache, more just breaking people people down. That's not what we're here for. We're
Mm.
here to get help, to seek help, and to open up the conversation about domestic violence. And so I'm going to go to our next question, the silence in the Black community. Can we just address this and talk about this for a moment? I think we talked on it a little bit, but let's just address the silence in the Black community when it comes down to the issue of domestic violence.
Oh, it's safe to be. It's safe to keep everything within the house. So what happens in the house stays in the house is just something that's just been inherent and just passed on from generation to generation within our community until someone breaks that silence. If none of us break that silence, it will continue to be passed on. It's safe there. And we know that's rooted in enslavement times here in the United States. I'm not sure about other places of the country, but I can just speak about here. And so we want to keep that shame with between us. We don't want anyone to look at us. We don't want anyone to judge us. We don't want anyone to think that there's something wrong with us. So we're going to keep that here. And if you ever go out and say something, we're going to make you feel so guilty about doing it that you will never do it. And so we hear stories sometimes about the children that ask for help. They don't receive the help, or just when you were going to ask for help, you didn't receive the help.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
because how is that perceived? And when you get the help, what is that help going to look like? Then I mean that I have to ask for help. You're also seen as weak and not strong. So you have to depend on someone and something else for assistance, similar to a handout. So asking for help is not looked at as strength. It's looked at as a weakness in the Black community.
thank you so much for that. Because how do we break that if I was raised and my foundation, uh, I was taught to be silent? How do I break that now as an adult or as a woman that is now in an abusive relationship? How does that look? How would I break that silence and come out of that place of, being silent to the place of reclaiming my voice?
By talking to people that you hope will listen and hope will support you. If you're if you notice that you being silent is something that came from your family, it's helpful to speak to someone outside of your family if you can. The doctor's office will always ask that question. Maybe a neighbor, maybe someone at the grocery store, someone that you can see all the time that you can feel safe with, or you've had maybe some small conversations with. You can put something in their ear, ask them a question, and they will be able to help and support you, or at least point you in the right direction. But to break that silence, we have to begin speaking. We have to give ourselves permission to go ahead and speak, especially if we're still in that situation. And a lot of times when we're no longer in that situation, we're still trying to find our voice and trying to figure it out. Is it okay? Can I safely speak here? Will I be judged here? Because all of these emotional wounds and verbal wounds will come back too, will come right back here to the forefront, and it will continue to mute your voice. You have to give yourself that permission to go ahead and speak. It's going to be scary at first, but give yourself permission to go ahead and speak.
I think that's really powerful because, especially if you've come from a generation of women of silence, and you are now fighting to um, remove
Mm.
the muzzle, so that you can break the generation of silence, not just for you, but for every daughter or son that will come behind you. I think it's really powerful because it's that place of reclaiming your identity, but like one step at a time, one word at a time. Sometimes those words begin to form sentences, um, and they begin to come together like a piece, like a puzzle. Because oftentimes when women are in these type or men that are in these type of relationships, silence is something that we hold on to because it has the power over us.
And it's safe. We're safe here.
Right.
we're safe. And again, it's the shame that we have. Man, I'm going to be judged because many times again the victim is blamed for a lot of the situations.
Correct.
So I want to be quiet. I want to keep it to myself.
Correct. We have a
Mhm.
question here
Okay.
tonight. It says, when is the right time to let your friend, cousin, colleague, girlfriend know that they are probably going through an abusive relationship?
Oh, if you and that person still have a relationship, like you guys are still kind of tight, you close, you can speak to them, they can speak to you, and it could be in a private setting. If you notice something, it is great to point something out or to ask questions. If they become a little bit defensive, okay, kind of back off. And if there's another individual like that you guys are close with that can speak to them, that they may listen to more, you can tag that person in. And or TikTok has a lot of great videos. So does YouTube. So does Instagram Reels and Facebook. You can start sending some reels and some different things. Just say, hey, I was reading this. I just wanted to share it with y'all. Y'all, tag some people in. And so you can look at it and read it. And that can be an end for that individual to really see what's really happening and what's really going on. Because sometimes when you begin to go to one person and you let them know, hey, I think this is what's going on. Yeah, why are you in my business? You just jealous or whatever it is. And for you, it's like, okay, they didn't want to hear it. Forget it. They may not be ready to hear it. They may not see it, or they may kind of know what it is and is scared to do something about it because they really don't know. But if you're able to just give some nuggets of wisdom and leave that door open for them, to come and speak with you about that, be great. So when they do leave, they can come and say thank you. They can
That's
come and
awesome.
say thank you.
That's awesome. And another thing to remember too is always remember that as a supporter of someone that is in a domestic violence relationship, you're on the outside looking in. Remember that
Mhm.
person is on the inside. And oftentimes when we're on the inside, we don't see the same thing that the person on the outside sees. But the one thing that I know has to be true, that the supporter of the survivor has to remain constant. They have to be a constant, uh, somebody that's not going to switch up, not going to switch
Mhm.
out, but somebody that's able to stand as a pillar for them. And I know it's hard, especially when you are seeing your friend or someone you love in an
Yes.
abusive
Mhm.
relationship. You have to remember supporters become lifelines. And one thing about a lifeline is it doesn't break. And so you have to become that strong person and giving that information, whether it's taken or rejected, but still remaining positive, remaining encouraging and powerful, because that is what the survivor really needs. They
Mhm.
need someone that is consistent because they're consistently being abused. So you have to consistently be that supporter, someone that's stronger than the perpetrator, someone that understands the power of love and support when you are supporting a survivor or victim of domestic violence. And I
Please.
hope that helps.
Mhm. Please be that support because they may not know that is the type of situation that they are in right now, but continue to be that type of support because it goes a long way when they're no longer in that situation.
Great. We're going to move on to our next question. We got to hurry up because we only got a few more moments. And now the question is the impact of generation of children, the impact on children and generational trauma
Mm,
down to domestic violence. Can you speak on this for a moment?
absolutely. So the children who are seeing everything that's happening, and everything that is happening is again perceived as normal, perceived as right, or this is what is supposed to happen. So you're raising a generation up to see an unhealthy relationship as normal. The saying is, you don't want peace, you want problems. You're raising a person to always want problems. And peace is absolutely wrong. It's negative. That is not what we do in this family. In order to keep this family lineage and line going, we have to have problems all the time. It has to be violent all the time. If you're not getting beat or yelled at, they don't love you. And so you have a child that's growing up and seeing this and is going to go out and mimic this, and they're going to teach their children and teach their children until somebody is brave enough to say, I don't like this. I don't want this for my child.
Thank you.
It takes that one person to be the what they call the black sheep of the family.
Right.
To you sweep everything under the rug, to take that rug and just rip it up. To open up that house and burn
We
that
don't
house
need a
down,
rug.
like it's not staying in this house. Everything is coming out. That's really hard to do. That's really hard to do in a family where that has been the norm, and we've seen that. That's really hard and difficult to do because you're not always supported when you're standing up for yourself. You're ridiculed, hated on. Rumors will come out, maybe about you, what you did when you were younger, your family, your parents, etc. Because you want something different and you want something healthier. It's very hard to go against the family if the family is negative. Very hard to be that cycle breaker.
It is.
Hmm.
It is it's hard, but it is so necessary because this is how domestic violence thrives. It thrives in silence.
Hmm.
It thrives when we don't heal because all we do is pass the mantle down to the next generation. So domestic violence thrives. It thrives in our places of not wanting to walk into the places of healing and restoration. Because one thing about trauma, and I know this through lived experience, is that trauma travels. It travels from generation to generation to generation. And if we do not step into the places of healing, which is what we're going to get into right now as we get ready to close in about 10 minutes, we're going to be closing, but we're going to talk about the healing process because healing ourselves is also healing future generations. When we take the time to heal from the abuse of the relationship or any type of relationship, remember, this can be any dynamic. It can be from a mother wound, it can be from a father wound, it can be from siblings, any type of abusive relationship. When we take the time to heal and regain our sense of self, self worth, self respect, our dignity, and begin to reclaim our power, our voice, and our confidence back, and begin to walk in the power that God created all of us to walk in, this damages trauma. This breaks the cycle of trauma because now one person decided that this is not going to work for me.
Hmm. And so what they will do is either they'll get into a group, a community that can help them heal. They'll go to their doctor so they can make sure that get their body checked out because we know there's with the trauma that's trapped, it can be trapped inside your body. And there's so many health issues that come from that. They can go to see a life coach or relationship coach. They can go and see a therapist. They can just leave that area that they're in and begin again and then work on the healing that they need. Once you begin to heal from trauma, you absolutely are breaking that stigma. You're breaking that negative family pattern or generational curse, as people say. You're absolutely breaking that, and you're giving yourself permission to unlearn what happened and to relearn something different. To heal yourself, giving yourself permission to say yes to you and to move forward, to find your voice again, to trust yourself again, to have boundaries, to know what a healthy relationship is, to help remove everything negative that you've heard about yourself, to learn how not to get into the situation again, to know what the signs are. You're giving yourself a chance to get around people that can really help, encourage, and really pour into you and can show you that there is a better life after this. There's a better life after this.
I love it. And this is where the Holes Foundation come into play, healing our legacy, embracing strength. That's what Holes stand for, empowering women to heal their legacy and embrace the strength and the resilience that's on the inside of every woman. You can come back from anything. You can come back from anything. But more than anything, we want to make sure that you are healed. And we also want to make sure that you're safe. If any woman that is watching this live tonight, we want to make sure that before you walk away from that relationship, you have created a safety plan. A safety plan is most and foremost important when you are in an abusive relationship. And we want to make sure that you're safe and that you, as you are being empowered and as you are gaining tools and skills that we teach in our courses, that we teach in our support groups, we want to make sure that you have a safety plan. And that safety plan is for your protection as you are walking away from this relationship and as you are reclaiming your power, your voice, and understanding that there's so much more in life when we are not in abusive relationships, when we come out of that cage and begin to live in the freedom of who God designed us to be. And so tonight we're having this conversation, a conversation about domestic violence and healing. And we really hope that you're enjoying this conversation. We hope that you're being empowered. We hope that you're being encouraged. We have our information that is here. If you need to contact us, we are definitely here. We're ready to support anyone that is ready to come out or that is in an abusive relationship and you need support. We're here for you. Also, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, the ticker is running on the bottom. There is help. There's immediate help for you if you are in an abusive relationship. And so we're going to be closing out tonight. We have about 6 more minutes, and we have been talking, transitioned over into the healing process of domestic violence. Healing is not becoming who you were before the trauma, but healing is becoming who you were always meant to be. And how do survivors rebuild trust and identity? Can you speak to that for a moment for us?
Absolutely. So, in order to rebuild your identity, there has to be a period of where you're taking off every negative word or every negative title that was thrown at you. So there's going to be a transition period. It's that recovery period, and it's going to be scary. And within that period, it is knowing who you are, trying to learn who you are, trying to figure out what you like, figure out what you don't like. What positive words can you say over yourself? What positive attributes or adjectives describe you? Who are you? And so a lot of times individuals do not know who they are because they know who they were told, but they don't know who they are. And so it will take some time for you to really sit down and break down these things. Everything negative, every negative thought, it takes three positive ones and a fourth one to balance that out. So just ripping away all of those negative titles that was placed on you by the perpetrator. And then it will take time for you to actually put on positive ones and for you to believe that. I can say that you're beautiful and I can have you repeat that you're beautiful, but if you don't believe it, it's gonna be, yeah, okay. It's that I'm beautiful. You're not even looking at yourself. There's no confidence within that. But if you can look at yourself in that mirror and say that I am beautiful or I am worthy or I am loved, that's amazing. And that's healing and that's amazing. And that will help us to put that back into us again. Also, we lose trust. I believe you asked about trust, correct?
Yes.
That also we lose our trust because it's my fault I got into this situation. So how can I trust myself again if I got into this situation in the first place? And so we have this conversation of when you saw things in the relationship, were you able to question the thing that you saw? Yes. So you question the thing that you saw and you received an answer. Yes. Was the answer true? Was it false? Oh, the answer was false. You lied. So you trusted yourself enough to say, hey, you know what? This didn't seem right. This is what happened. What happened? Oh, it's this, you're not thinking about it correctly. I don't know. You're just crazy. You just want to have an argument. And so you begin to think because you're already beaten down mentally. Maybe I am, maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. And maybe I'm tripping. Let me go, how you say, let me go pray more and just forget. And so we come back to those moments where you trust your intuition enough to ask these questions, and you are absolutely correct. So you do have some level of trust there. And there has to be forgiveness. You have to forgive yourself for what you did not know. So because hindsight is 2020, we can look back at negative relationships and see what was missed. But because you weren't taught, and when you asked questions, you weren't helped, you absolutely did not know. And so please forgive yourself from that so you can continue to move forward. It takes time. People want to get to the healing now. It takes time. Really, it really does take time.
Yeah,
So give yourself that time. Give yourself that permission to really work on you and take your time to do that.
that's powerful. That sounds like to me self-acceptance.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful thing. um, and that's really 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 powerful. And understanding that the healing is a journey, a discovery, and all of the beautiful and wonderful things that you will discover about yourself when you walk away from an abusive relationship and you begin to rebuild the pieces of your life, the beauty that you will find on the inside of you. And it's not that it was never there, it was always there. You've always been beautiful, you've always been valuable, you've always been important. But these are things that are stripped away from us when we are, in these type of relationships. So that place of self-discovery is really powerful.
Mhm.
um, Tonight, as we get ready to end tonight's conversation, it does not end here. If you or someone you know is struggling, please know that there is help, there is hope, and there is healing available. We are here. This is the first of many conversations that we will have and begin to open up these Tuesday
Tuesday.
conversations on the issue of domestic violence. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us, for hearing us out. Those that have commented, we thank you for your
Thank
comments.
you.
It does not end here. It does not end here. There's so much work that we have to do moving forward. And so we'll continue to engage in these conversations. Your story matters and your healing matters, and you are not alone. Let's continue breaking the silence, building safe spaces, and a safe community, and helping people heal out loud.
Absolutely. Thank you.
See you.
Bye. Thank you.